Hello, I'm Caitlin Bosshart. I am a life coach for multi-passionate creatives, and this is the Multi-Passionate PSA. So today's public service announcement is all about getting super clear about what it is that you want to get out of passion projects. So this PSA is especially for you if you ever have felt embarrassed about the fact that you tend to switch gears pretty often when it comes to the passion projects and the things that you're into. This is also for you if you find yourself, losing interest in projects before they're quote unquote like completed, which makes you feel kind of like flaky and unfocused. This is also for you if you dread that question when people ask you, what you've been up to, because chances are it's going to be, maybe different than the last time that they asked. And this is also for you if you ever feel embarrassed about not being an expert in anything. That whole oh my gosh, jack of all trades, master of none. It's like escaping me. So all of the things. I've had all of these concerns, all of these fears. This is super common. So if you've ever felt like this, you are not alone. You are in very good company. But I want to flip the script on, some of these thoughts that you've been having. It's not that you are flaky and unfocused and unable to complete things. That's not what this is about. So as a multi-passionate person, you are naturally curious. You are going to, your mind is going to be engaged and pulled in lots of different directions. That's just how your mind works. And that when you start to get bored with the project, it means that in some way it has lost nourishment for you. So this is a little bit of an extension off of my last PSA about, how sometimes it's time to move on from a passion project. And sometimes when that time comes is because you've gotten what you wanted out of a passion project. What I find is that a lot of times multi-passionate people are not really clear around what it is that they actually want to get out of that passion project from the beginning. So when they are ready to move on, they feel kind of like they've failed because maybe they've been operating off of this, more societal lens of, you continue on with something, you pick something and you stick with that forever. Well, that's just not how we work. So if we can get clear about how deep we want to go with the passion project or what that's going to look like for us, then we have a lot more freedom to, move on when we've reached that point for ourselves. So here's a strategy that I have found to be really, really helpful in getting clear on this. So this is to actually categorize your passion projects into one of three areas. So whether you are currently working on projects or you're thinking about starting something new, consider where your passion project falls in one of these three areas. So the first type of passion project is what I consider to be shallow and broad brushstroke. So this is something where you don't necessarily want to get super, super in depth, but this is something that you're genuinely really curious about. You want to know more about it. You want to spend some amount of time, but you definitely don't want to dedicate large amounts of time to this interest. So this is something that you can probably learn in the span of, like a couple of documentaries, museum tour, maybe, on a trip while you're traveling, a certain country, you want to learn about the history or certain parts of that culture. Or, say, you're someone like me who has like a million beautiful birds in your backyard and you kind of want to learn more about, identifying them. Are you going to necessarily dedicate your whole life to, learning everything about every single individual bird? Probably not. If this is where your interest lies, you maybe are only going to go so deep with that. So that's the shallow and broad brushstroke type of passion project. The next type of passion project is something that you really see for, a one specific purpose. You want to, try this thing, experience this thing, learn how to do something for one specific application, or maybe you're going to do it a couple of times, and then you're very clear that at that point you're totally happy to cross it off your list and move on. So for me, this was when we were learning how to lay a herringbone wood floor in our kitchen. So heading into that project, I was very, very clear. I wanted to, learn how to do this. I wanted to learn how and figure out how to do it well. But I have given myself full permission, and I feel zero pressure to ever lay another herringbone wood floor ever again in my life, even though I think I have this like really cool skill set. There's so many other things I want to do with my time and energy. Okay, so then that's the broad brush, or sorry, the bucket list, sorry. Okay, the last one is a deep dive project. So this is something that you see yourself, being engaged with for a long period of time. You see yourself dedicating a lot of mental energy, a lot of time, a lot of resources potentially towards this passion project. And these are often the types of passion projects where a lot of times we need support. So this concept of boredom is something that is, just a fact of life for a multi-passionate creatives. And boredom can even come up in passion projects that we want to continue doing for a long period of time. So I just want to normalize that can happen, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to move on from that project. So this is where you have to start to get to know yourself and know what your goals are with something, so that you kind of know, okay, am I ready to move on from this thing, or do I actually just need to get some support and figure out how to move past some of these boredom barriers? So in my next PSA, I will be talking about some of those boredom barriers and some of those strategies to help you move past that point in time where you might be getting kind of tired or kind of bored with a project, or, a lot of our more in-depth projects have a lot of moving parts that are maybe crucial to moving a project forward, but isn't exactly what, the reason why we got into it to begin with. So I see this a lot of times with my clients that have businesses. They get they're super passionate about like the main, purpose of their business, and like the problems that they solve, or the people that they serve, or, all of that. But it's not necessarily, maybe they don't particularly love marketing. Maybe they don't particularly love, the life, accounting aspect of business, but those are things that are really essential. So they have to figure out how to make those pieces work for themselves, so they can kind of move past that. The other thing that type of deep dive project is not even necessarily with the business. I mean, a lot of multi-passionate people have long-term projects that have nothing to do with making money at all. It's just something that they want to do and have part of their life. So a client of mine is a writer, and that's something that they really want to have involved in their life for a very, very long time. So their overarching deep dive project is writing, but within that they have lots of smaller projects. So they want to be, writing short stories and flash fiction, and eventually writing a series of novels. And so you might think of your projects as being, okay, here's this umbrella project, and then I've got these smaller projects underneath, but I would still consider that to be a deep dive project. Okay, so just some examples of what that can look like. So this is my challenge for you, is, again, whether you're currently in the middle of a project, or if you're considering starting something new, to figure out, what category is the best fit for the project that you're working on, or that you're wanting to get started, as much as you can know at this point in time. And then from there, getting a little bit clearer, like what is the specific end goal? Where do I want to end up with this? What's the level of depth that I see myself going to with this passion project? And also know that this is not meant to, box us in any sort of way. So what can often happen is someone starts out with, a shallow and broad brushstroke type of project. They end up falling totally in love with it, and then it becomes a deep dive project. And so they can kind of recategorize that in their mind. Or the opposite can happen. Might be, someone thinks that they're going to, do this thing forever, but then you get into it, you kind of realize maybe it's not what you wanted, or something else, you discover something else new that just really tugs at you more. And so you then say, what, actually, this is actually going to be more of like a bucket list or a broad brushstroke type of project, and I'm good with that. But just mentally categorizing can give you so much freedom in moving on when you're ready to, or really knowing and getting clear, like, okay, I want to stick with this thing even though I'm kind of getting bored with it, and I'm going to get some support and figure out how I can continue to kind of push through. Okay, so again, this is my challenge for you, is to share in the comments. Let me know what your passion project is, what category it falls into, and extra credit is to give a little bit more definition and get a little bit more specific about what your goal is. Okay, so that is this PSA. If you have any questions about this, or if you want to talk through at all, maybe where to categorize one of your projects, just direct message me and we'll hash it out. And again, thank you so much for watching. And your weekly reminder, be unwilling to settle for less. The world craves your authenticity. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.